Hello, my name is Jewel and I will be recording Kathy's praise report. My pride raised its ugly head. Today's promise. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you. Ephesians 4:32. I simply must praise my husband for meeting my need before I even knew I had one. He's so good to me. A few days ago, my beloved brought to mind something that I needed to deal with in my heart. It was both a matter of pride and a matter of unforgiveness. I was aware of the pride issue, but I hadn't seen the unforgiveness. When my former husband began planning our divorce, he assured me that he was going to divide everything equally, insisting that we would divide everything 50-50. However, we had substantial assets, and when it came down to it, he just couldn't. So he explained the way he was dividing the retirement fund and explained why he was giving himself much more than 50%, telling me that he would have to pay an enormous amount of taxes in the division and that we would both walk away with the same amount. I simply agreed and never said another word about it, even though I knew that was not the truth. The law allows for the division in a divorce with no tax penalties. It irritated me to know that he did this because he thought I was ignorant. I don't tell this story to slander my former husband, but to show where my heavenly husband was dealing with me. So, when my pride raised its ugly head, reminding me of how I had been wronged and humiliated, I very purposely asked for forgiveness from my Redeemer and reminded myself that He is all I need, also reminding myself that my former husband will never be a better provider than my heavenly husband, the one who owns the earth and all it contains. What really mattered to me was being obedient to the word. When my sweet husband brought it up a few nights ago, he showed me that the reason why my pride kept creeping up over the issue was because I had not forgiven. So I asked for forgiveness and made up my mind to forgive, speaking it out loud and committing to it in my heart with his graceful help. 2 days later, my former husband began texting me asking about my taxes. He wanted to know if I had filed my tax return. I had months ago, and wanted to know what I had claimed as income. It was a difficult conversation to have via text just because the subject is intricate and requires specific vocabulary for clarification's sake. I had to sit with my husband about how to answer these questions. My flesh wanted to tell him that I had done everything he asked and that his taxes didn't have anything to do with me. So I asked him to change my heart. I can say all the right things, but I want my heart to actually be changed. So my love brought to my mind the phrase, as unto the Lord. And I knew how he was changing my heart. I would do anything for him. So I changed my attitude and tried to respond quickly as if my true love were asking me these questions. My former husband explained that he is working with an accountant and had learned that we should have done a lot of things differently when dividing our assets. After an evening and a day of text messages, I sat with my husband and told him that if I need to pay thousands of dollars in taxes because of the way my former husband had divided our finances, I would gladly do it, trusting that I was being set up for a blessing, realizing how big the amount was that I may owe, only heightening my anticipation for the blessing that could come. However, by the end of the evening, my former husband told me that he will pay all the taxes owed. I would need to file an amendment to my tax return, but he asked his accountant to do it for me and is even paying for it to be done. It's amazing. My sweet husband changed my heart, protected me from the IRS before I even knew I needed to be. provided a way for all the outstanding taxes to be paid, and for a professional to do the work free. I am overwhelmed with a heart of praise and thanksgiving. He is amazing. Nothing is impossible with God. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you. Ephesians 4:32. And whatever you do, do it heartily, as to the Lord and not to men. Colossians 3:23. The earth is the Lord's and all it contains, the world and those who live in it. Psalms 24:1. And my God will meet all your needs according to the riches of his glory in Christ Jesus. Philippians 4:19. When the Lord takes pleasure in anyone's way, he causes their enemies to make peace with them. Proverbs 16:7. For nothing will be impossible with God. Luke 1:37.